Here we are, 21 minutes past the hour. But we're going to recover this delay today by extending the transmission because, of course, this show needs to be arranged, needs to be prepared. And, of course, I'm here with my wife, Christy. This is the Leo Zagami Show. Then,
hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
And now, live from Palm Springs, California, your host, Leo Zagami.
And Christy Zagami. That's Christy. Okay, I see you are tuning in. We have a great show today prepared for you by our team, which is me. Christy, and Rambo, who joins us, as you know, at the end of the show. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show.
Oh, I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm here. Because I'm not here. And God wants me to do the show. So
Okay.
Plus, I like doing it.
Okay.
Plus, I miss doing it. And if you were out here doing it and I was working on the book, I would feel sad. And then I would want to say hi to everyone. So.
That's good. So Rambo, somebody says, is the executive producer. Okay, we have a bunch of people to thank for making this show possible today. So let's get Christy to do it this time. Okay. So who are these sponsors for today's show?
Okay, thank you very much, you guys, for buying the books, first of all. And then for the kind donations, we have Bruce, and then Pina, and Anonymous. We don't know who he is or she. Mark Maxwell, Raymond Com, Alioska Sorecki, Leosfaldo Martinez, and Dunia, who is Italian, but she's also
American. And we have also Pina.
I said Pina.
No, you didn't say Pina.
I did say Pina.
Chiro.
She's so good. She always donates.
And then we have, of course, the Italian sponsors, but those we want to read during the Italian show, which usually follows the English-speaking one. Saturday, July the 16th of the year of the Lord 2022. We have a lot of news, and we have, of course, the subject of the day. We have discussed it profusely in my latest book, what the smart cities will be all about. And now that we had Joe Biden visiting the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, we can actually take it from there because he is the guy who apparently wants to model and create within the next couple of years the first entirely smart city. And of course, all this goes along with the green climate change and Green New Deal. It's quite hilarious that all this starts from Saudi Arabia, which is, theoretically speaking, if you have to follow the theories, the number one polluter. Now, as they are the number.
Have the best state. I mean, Texas has the best state.
Well, that you should ask a demon class. The demon class.
I saw all those building signs in Texas.
Yes.
There's so many of them.
Yes. At one point, you fall asleep, and I had to drive through all of them. Huh?
And I remember, because my mom and my sister lived in Corpus Christi, Texas, like when I was in my 20s, and I'm not in my 20s anymore, but there was a lot of oil things, refineries.
Oil rigs.
Oil rigs.
Then you have the refineries.
What's a refinery?
Well, the refineries are the one where they then have to process the product. You have those, and we went through a few of those, but we went mostly through a bunch of oil rigs. So, hello, everybody. I see you here in the chat. Please share this.
Hi, Tony.
Please.
Hi, Beth. Hi, Mad Max. Am I right? Momax. I don't know. I can't see.
Momo, Mad Max, Jake,
sure,
Farron, Marley.
I'm sure Bruce is here, and Pina's probably watching.
Okay, and we have, of course, also Mauro, who used to live in Texas and now lives in Florida. Hello, Mauro.
You like Florida? You've never been.
Okay, we are ready for the Leo Zagami show. A lot of news on the table, and we start, of course, from the complete disaster of all disasters. Joe Biden is the number one disaster.
I knew it.
He was caught shaking ghost again. Why is he always shaking ghost hands? But in the meantime, let's see what happened with Joe Biden when he, of course, was, before he got to Saudi Arabia, he was in Israel, and he met, of course, with Abu Mazen. And that was also a moment in which he was pretty confused. Sure? At one point, Abu Mazen had to say, hey, don't freeze in front of the soldier. Follow me, follow me. But this is nothing. Like I said, we have also another video. I wasn't able to download it, but I think I'm going to be able to find it here on the internet. In the meantime, Chrissy, you can go on and, of course, talk about the subject of today's show, which is the smart city, one of the subjects of this book. Chrissy, pick up this book.
Well, I'm not an expert on smart cities, but I like my phone. And I have to stop using my phone. My phone broke. When did it break? Was it yesterday or the day before? The day before yesterday, my phone broke.
Yes.
And then I had to get a new one. And it was terrible. I was having withdrawal and everything.
Well, that's why you shouldn't be so attached to your phone.
So I think I have a problem and I need to work on it. So
yeah.
I'm trying to put my phone away and not use it anymore because I realize I do have a problem. It's not that I talk to anyone or I need to like interact with people, except for like my kids. But like it's just everything else that I depend on the phone. So it kind of organizes things for me. I need to stop that.
You need to be a little bit more analogic, more than digital. You need to Okay, this is basically Joe Biden caught once again in Israel shaking the hands of ghosts. Here we have him.
What is wrong with him?
Here you see.
But maybe he sees somebody there.
Maybe he saw somebody.
It's all the demons. He's shaking the hand of the demon that follows him around and tells him what to do.
What is he doing? Oh, well, it didn't go much better when he took the plane and then he ended up finally meeting the controversial Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And of course, he was guested by what he once defined as the pariah state. The pariah state. A pariah state is a state which is not recognized by anybody, but this time it was recognized, actually profusely recognized, and actually he relaunched the image because he needs the oil. He needs the oil. He needs the oil. He doesn't want to take it from Texas. He prefers to take it from a bunch of natural-born killers, like people know very well what kind of injustices we have in places like Saudi Arabia. But let's see a little bit the way he arrived. No, he arrived in to meet with this fist bump. And everybody was like, oh, he saluted him with a fist bump and not with a handshake. Geez, these libtards are never happy. If you shake them with the hands, they say they want the fist bump. And then they want but Joe Biden, of course, was shaking everybody's hand, but wanted to make a point with that, with this unusually distant fist bump.
That's so stupid.
And let's see how it all happened, it all happened yesterday in front of the cameras of the world. So here we have him coming out of the presidential car, and like we said, he just simply gave a fist bump to the guy he basically accused of being a criminal because of the assassination of the journalist Khashoggi from the Washington Post, who was killed in Turkey, and was killed in Turkey by trained killers, like somebody is saying here on the chat, trained killers working for the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, though, received them definitely in a much colder fashion than when Donald J. Trump arrived in Saudi Arabia a few years ago. It was definitely a different kind of scenario, Christian. So I want to make a little comparison here. You know, we have seen, apart from the fact that the Crown Prince was laughing with everybody else, when the journalist from NBC, who was later escorted out of the room, asked him about Saudi Arabia, the pariah state.
President Biden, is Saudi Arabia still a pariah?
Actually, I think that's not the NBC guy, but he was also carried out. This is a lady. And like you can hear very clearly, after they say that, I mean, the prince, the crown prince and his assistants are all there laughing because, of course, Khashoggi was killed, he's a journalist, but at the end of the day, guys, we have also had the presidents of the United States shaking the hands of much worse killers than that. So let's hear it again.
President Biden, is Saudi Arabia still a pariah? President Biden.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
So this is basically what happened with somebody who during the presidential campaign said something. He said it and repeated later on that he was definitely condemning Saudi Arabia, but now Saudi Arabia, of course, turns out to be useful, essential for bringing down a little bit the prices of oil at the moment, as he still wants to continue with his demented green policies here in the United States, but at the same time he wants to purchase oil for that will maybe facilitate the life of Americans. But that's not really the case, because in reality this increased production will bring a very, very increased production, allegedly increased production, because they are saying also that maybe they're not going to really do anything, and that this was kind of a failure from Biden's side. Having said that, later on, of course, the media went in the help of Joe Biden, saying that this is a great success, and even the Saudi media said it was a success, because the Saudi media are there trying to, in a way, how you can say, refurbish, relaunch their image, no? After what happened with the assassination of Khashoggi. So let me show you the difference, though, from how, I mean, the difference is kind of incredible. I mean, we can make it just by seeing this is the very cold approach of Joe Biden, who arrives from his presidential car, gives his fist bump, and that's it. While instead, this was the arrival of Melania Trump and Donald J. Trump a few years back. Of course, Trump at the moment is in mourning for the loss of his first wife, Ivana, who died falling off the stairs in a situation which, of course, is under investigation, but probably due to the precarious health of Ivana. Nothing incredible there. Though there has been also those conspiracy theorists who have said that Trump wanted her murdered because they didn't want her to testify. All kinds of rubbish, you know, lies, of course. This was Trump, though, when he arrived in Saudi Arabia. As you can see, a very, very different scenario. A very, very different scenario. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show. 37 minutes past the hour. If you're following us from all over the world, we are transmitting live here from Palm Springs, California, operating in Pacific Standard Time. Here it's 37 minutes past 10 a.m. I don't know what kind of time is wherever you are, but of course we are broadcasting the news of the week along with the subject of interest of the week, which is this very incredible city that is being created by the controversial Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, spending over 500 billion in the desert to create a desert dream that Bloomberg has defined as something that is getting weirder and weirder by the minute. And if Bloomberg is saying it, well, then we need to investigate it. And that's why today the main subject of today's Leo Zagami show is this smart city, which basically is under construction. That's it. It's going to include even a ski resort. It's incredible the way they are doing all this, and of course they're doing it along with the inevitable rise of cyborgs. And of course, it's a very much a science fiction kind of scenario that here they're saying is reminiscent of Blade Runner. So you want to know more about Neom, I guess? Well, we have prepared, of course, a whole show about it, and you're going to see it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's going to be a totally smart city. And like I said over and over again, especially in my latest book, smart cities are really the turning point of the future. And you should substitute smart always with satanic. So having introduced this, now let's see it. Let's see it, of course, from the minds of those who have created. We're going to then investigate all the various nuances of this city called Neom, from the Greek neo. Sounds very Matrix. Okay, this is it. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show.
In 2017, Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, announced the launch of the nation's futuristic and fully automated city-state, Neom. The brainchild of the Crown Prince, the new city-state, named from a combination of the Greek word for new, neo, and the first letter of the Arabic term for future, mustaqbal, Neom hopes to have its first pioneering residents by as early as 2024, with plans to eventually accommodate more than 1 million people. Join us today as we explore the city-state Neom in Saudi Arabia. Born from Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 to see the country develop into a model of excellence by 2030.
You see, it's always 2030. Now, for all those people who want to know a little bit more what you're talking about, here is the book of all books that you should, of course, read, volume 7 of my Confessions, from the Occult Roots of the Great Reset to the Populist Roots of the Great Reject, and of course, smart cities, the Internet of Things. All this is discussed in my new book. And let's check out what is supposed to be the first ever completely smart city.
The project is currently made up of three main components. First, the Neom Economic Hub. Second, the Line, a 170-kilometer-long urban development within Neom that will connect the Red Sea coastline with the mountains of northeast Saudi Arabia. And third, an 8-sided floating port city within Neom called the Zagaman, which will be an industrial district home to the world's first automated port and logistics hub on the edge of the Red Sea. Neom was first announced in 2017 with an estimated operating budget of $500 billion. The company, owned by Saudi's Public Investment Fund, will aim to develop a one-of-a-kind economic hub covering nearly 25,000 square kilometers of desert, valleys, mountains, and coastline along Saudi Arabia's Red Sea coastline in northwest Saudi Arabia. The landmass will extend across the Egyptian and Jordanian borders, making it the first private zone in the world to span 3 countries. The AI-powered hub will be powered entirely using solar wind, green hydrogen, and other alternative means of energy production. Equipped with flying taxis, an artificial moon, and other emerging technologies, Neom aims to be the vision of what the future could be. Coined a living laboratory by its creators, Neom will consist of towns, cities, ports, research centers, entertainment and sports venues, and tourist destinations. It will aim to draw the brightest and the best.
So you see, Christy, while the rest of the world is gonna start to gradually fall into chaos, war, and whatnot, they are preparing the ultimate city of the future, which will, of course, also become a hub for all those billionaires, all those people who from the elite who would like to surround themselves with enormous luxury while we are surviving here in the rest of the world, maybe dragged into virtual reality. What I'm going to show you soon is pretty shocking. What they're preparing in Neom is rather shocking. But let's continue viewing the presentation, and welcome to the Leo Zagami show with Leo and Christy.
Professionals to the city to create a major commercial hub to rival Dubai in the UAE and Doha in Qatar. Neom is also aiming to tackle water scarcity issues and plans on using pioneering technology to create fresh water from seawater using sunlight. This process includes bringing in seawater through an enclosed aqueduct system, heating the water as it flows towards a desalinator. Mirrors then focus concentrated solar radiation onto the glass and steel structure, which subsequently heats the water, creating condensate. The pressurized freshwater condensate steam produced through this process is then discharged through outlets to various areas across Neom. In January 2021, the Crown Prince announced that a key part of the Neom city-state, a zero-carbon city called The Line, would be constructed. The Crown Prince labeled the city project as a civilizational plan that puts humans first. The Line will be crafted as a linear city for 1 million people, running 170 kilometers long, with a width that would be walkable in 5 minutes. A city's usual amenities, such as schools, hospitals, and gardens, will all be within walking distance. Seeking to dispel any hesitations about the governance model that the Line would follow, the entire Neom area, including the Line, will be a free trade zone with its own tax structure and an autonomous legal system independent of Saudi Arabia's. The technological and environmental plans of the zero cars, zero streets, and
autonomous system even from Saudi Arabia. That's kind of interesting. A state within a state. Like the Vatican. It's interesting, all this. Don't you think so? You're viewing basically the creation of the controversial Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who fist bumped Joe Biden. And this is basically the first all-together cyber satanic city for sure.
Zero carbon emission city have drawn the most attention. Drawings of the Line show the city infrastructure and services arranged in 3 distinct layers. The top layer above ground will be a pedestrian layer, supported by 2 underground layers. The layer immediately
Somebody said, what about the rest of the planet? They don't care about the rest of the planet. This is the elite. Wake up, Denise. Who is going to actually build it? They have the money, they're building it, it's already under construction, it's going to be ready already for the first inhabitants in 2 years from now.
below ground
1 million.
will be the service layer of physical infrastructure. Further below the service layer will be a high-speed transportation system. This high-speed transit is being designed to take people anywhere in the city within 20 minutes. Robots will play a key role in the areas of security, logistics, home delivery, and provision of care. It is
The robots will provide key in security. This really brings us to volume 6.66 also, The Age of Cyber Satan, Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. These 2 books are essential to have a full understanding of what we are discussing here today. Welcome to the Leo Zagami show. We are the first to discuss Neom, the first to expose what the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and the elite is planning for themselves.
It's expected that city infrastructure will cost between $100 to $200 billion, with investments being drawn from the $500 billion allocated for Neom, the Public Investment Fund, and global investors. In November 2021, Neom announced its latest ambitious project within Neom, an 8-sided port city that will float on the Red Sea, called the Oxagon. The Oxagon will sit at the western edge of Neom. It will be the largest floating structure in the world and be home to the world's first fully automated port and integrated logistics hub. This industrial city will use the Internet of Things, AI, and robotics to create a seamless, intelligent, and efficient supply chain. As with the rest of Neom, the Oxagon will be a net zero city, powered entirely by clean energy. Although Neom has not disclosed the total cost of the Oxagon project or how it hopes to keep the city afloat, given how the Red Sea is one of the world's busiest trade routes, with 13% of all global trade passing through each year, Oxagon will certainly be a catalyst of economic growth and diversity in Neom. To date, Neom has been faced with delays and hit by an exodus of employees who are straining under the weight of the prince's ambitious vision. While engineers are struggling with demands to blow holes a half-mile long and 30 stories high in the side of a mountain to house a honeycomb of hotels and residences, they've also been given directives to construct 10 palaces, each bigger than a football field. At a recent board meeting, Prince Mohammed brushed aside urban planners who offered other, simpler plans for a pollution-free city, telling them to think.
May I remind those who think this is just fantasy, that this guy is one of the richest persons in the world, that the President of the United States of America went to beg him on his knees almost yesterday. So,
I have a question.
What?
How are they gonna? Good luck finding all the good green energy that they're looking for after Russia nukes the planet.
No, but these people work with Russia. One thing that maybe you need to also know is that these people are very good friends. Very good. So it's about America here. It's about America not being in tune. It's about America not understanding what's happening in the world. By having a bunch of woke idiots ruling this once glorious nation, you are basically suiciding it in favor of these people who have the power, the resources, and they are also men who like women. That might be...
Yeah, but they hate women.
No.
Yes, they do.
Well, yeah, in Saudi Arabia, they are a little bit on the.
They hate women.
That is a little bit true. That's
it's a lot true.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, it's a little bit has the. But let's see what America is offering to the world. These are the 2 representatives America sent to the French embassy for the Bastille party this year. These are the people who represent today the United States of America.
No.
So let me remind you that we are in the hands of this kind of people at the moment, not in the hands of real patriots. America is on the path to suicide with this kind of people. It's not because of their sexuality. They could keep the sexuality and do whatever they want about with it, because I don't really care about one's sexuality. But if the minority dictates the majority, and this is what is happening here. This is what is happening here, guys. And then we're going to also discuss Ricky Martin's accusation of incest by his nephew. But the people you're seeing here are the Assistant Health Secretary, Rachel Levine, and gender fluid puppet handler, yeah, he likes puppy love, Sam Brinton. So, there is anything I have to add?
No.
I don't know, because if there is something I have to add, I can add it.
You don't have to add anything.
Okay, let's go back to what we were doing, which is trying to enlighten people about the future. What kind of future we're gonna have?
Saying that I want to build my pyramids. There are currently more than 1,500 employees working and living on site, and while estimates peg the work at only 1 to 2% complete to date, the construction work currently ongoing is perhaps the most difficult, essentially moving sand and mountains. Neom is also currently hiring for over 140 jobs, so if this is the type of mega project that excites you, you may want to throw your resume in the mix. What do you think about Neom, the line, and the octagon? Do you think these types of projects are realistic? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. We'll see you guys in the next one.
So that is basically just an introduction of the project. Because this project aims to also substitute Hollywood. That is something that, of course,
That's
I will...
not so bad.
Well, I don't know about that. When Hollywood has been in the last over 100 years now, not only a machine of make-believe illusion created by, of course, people who are well acquainted with the occult, but also a place where we decide the propaganda, the propaganda of the once glorious United States of America will be maybe substituted by these people who want to create also a hub to replace Hollywood in Neom. So that is pretty, I find it pretty disturbing. Do you think so, Christine?
I'm not disturbed.
You're not disturbed?
No.
Okay, don't be disturbed then.
Okay.
The region to date has failed to live up to its enormous potential.
In creating world-class content in film, television, gaming, or even music. Content that excites, that resonates. Content that has an appeal beyond its borders to become a part of the popular culture zeitgeist of global storytelling and entertainment. Neom is changing this, creating a new global hub that's unlike anywhere else. One that's diverse and truly inclusive. A platform for the creative community to truly excel and be connected to the worldwide industry. Establishing the first ever physically and technologically integrated hub for creative media to redefine and harness the power of collaboration and convergent technologies at the intersection of film, TV, gaming, and digital publishing content creation. Establishing Neom as part of the industry's elite network of hubs, participating in the 24-hour industry.
So basically, they're aiming to become the center of the world also when it comes to influencers, news services, aside from, of course, the film industry. And Saudi Arabia has a very close connection with the Sabbatean Frankists who are this heresy within the Jewish world. That's why we just saw Joe Biden flying from Israel into this country that is promoting the birth of this first satanic smart city.
Our discrete and progressive regulatory framework will ensure the right conditions for content.
Discrete and progressive framework. How progressive you can be in Saudi Arabia, where they throw gay people off the roof? I mean, how progressive are they?
There's no women's rights.
There's no women's rights. Of course, they are I mean, they are, of course, heterosexual, but they are also very much not respectful of women. That's absolutely true. So let's check out, continue to check out this. One thing that people have to understand about Saudi Arabia, this is a bunch of camel jockeys who were basically the thugs that you can see in that basically in the tales of 1001 Nights. I mean, these were the thugs that used to assault the people going towards Mecca. Then they made this.
Alibaba in the 40 Thieves.
Yeah, kind of. That is the kind of scenario. Then what happened with the British? With the British, things change. With a guy called Lawrence of Arabia, there is actually a film that depicts all this, and basically they created artificially what is the royal house of Saudi Arabia. It is a bunch of thugs who have achieved the possibility to create a new royalty and then clean up their image because of the power of black gold, which is oil. So this is really the truth here. And in that connection between the Wahhabis and the Sabbatian Frankists and of course the British Crown, you really find all your answers. For those who want to study more in depth the question, like our friend Bruce who was here in the chat asking for more.
Creation and industry success. From attractive production and business incentives to removing the friction of bureaucracy, we'll simplify how business is done to help it thrive. Neom is the catalyst for a legacy-free industry evolution. One that is digital first, liberating creators, storytellers,
Digital first.
I don't understand.
technicians and artisans to inspire and realize the ambitions of their imaginations.
Changing the future of the media and creative industries now.
Neom, made to change.
So this is basically what is happening, and we are, of course, today presenting this this new scenario, this new region made out of cities that are, of course, all part of a big city called Neom. More than a city, yeah, it's a smart, satanic city. And it's the brainchild of all this is, of course, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. They are basically taking on all those points that we have seen promoted aggressively by the left in the last few years, and they are building around it a city after, of course, taking advantage of their position as one of the leading power of OPEC, of the oil business. They are using all their money to now instead build something else for the future. And what are they building? They're building what they say is for a better tomorrow.
The planet is suffering. We can see the effects of climate change all around us. At Neom,
so you see, this is the thing. They are pushing the Greta Thunberg, kind of scenario, and paradoxically, if we have to go by that, they are also one of the main causes for it. I mean, they are the guys we are now going to beg for some more oil. This is completely ridiculous, guys.
we know we can still be the catalyst for positive change. Starting right now.
The transition to a sustainable future has become paramount, not just for us, but for all the generations to follow.
Neom has a challenge to become carbon neutral by 2030 and carbon negative after that. We'll do our part to meet.
We always have those a repetition of this 2030 theme. So it's like 2030 is really where it all ends up.
The ambition of the Paris Climate Agreement.
Tackling climate change is the top priority of our generation.
Our goal is to move beyond carbon neutrality, to build a circular economy using innovation and advanced technology to change the future for everyone.
Join the journey and welcome to Neom.
Neom, made to change.
So you see, there's a lot of promotion.
Region to date has failed to live up to.
So sorry, it kind of like went back into the transmission. Well, what do you think of all this, Christy? Of this new city, of this new reality?
Make it sound really good, but we all know that Satan is chaos. So
Satan is basically trying to dehumanize humans, and so bring them towards transhumanism. And he needs some spots to do it, that will be kind of
so like,
heading this satanic experiment.
They make it sound very normal, but we know what they're about, and very bad things. So, I mean, in their normal life, they'll be abusing children, and, you know, like, it's not going to be this rosy picture that they're painting. Because Satan is chaos, and God is order. And that's...
But also in this case, we know that with the mark of the beast, Satan is also slavery. And slavery is achieved through control. And somebody is asking, where is this new city? This new city is in Saudi Arabia, but it will extend 170 kilometers all the way to Egypt. It's going to be a city that will basically go through 3 different sovereign nations to achieve, though, its own sovereignty. A sovereignty that, of course, is different from the sovereignty that we can imagine. I'm now changing microphone. Somebody said there is a problem with the sound. I hope that the sound problem is resolved. There is, of course, other experiments around the world that are similar, but nobody has also the finances that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia has. Let's just remember that this is an operation that will cost over 500 billions, and Bloomberg has also discussed it and published an article about it yesterday. Here, this the article. So for those who want to read more about it, I would suggest also to check out this article. It's about, of course, Neom, the 500 billion. MBS is the initials that are used by the Saudi Crown Prince, and it's a mega project that will even have a ski resort, swim lanes for comedy, and smart everything. See, smart everything is just what I said here in this book. Anything that is smart is satanic. So smart everything means everything is going to be satanic.
I go around with my satanic phone all day, and I need to stop that.
Well, definitely.
I'm going to work on it.
You're going to have to work on that. It's definitely scary to see what is being built here. We know already the success of Dubai in the Emirates as a very important business hub for those who even want to flee from the regulatory laws of other countries. This will actually have very little regulatory laws. They said it themselves. They're going to be very practical. There's going to be very little bureaucracy, but there's going to be also a lot of control. The chosen site in Saudi Arabia, far northwest, stretching from the sun-scorched Red Sea coast into craggy mountain badlands, At summer temperatures over 100 Fahrenheit, well, welcome. Here we are talking from Palm Springs, so we're pretty familiar with that. And almost no fresh water. So the water will be taken by the sea with this new system that filters the water of the sea. It will be soon the home to millions of people, according to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And it's currently under construction. What's your point of view on the whole thing? Will be heard when we open the phone lines, which is something that we do, of course, every week. This is the Leo Zagami show every week with me and my wife, Christy. Christy, what do you think then? I want to show, by the way, this beautiful photo by one of our readers, photo of the book. The book. This is Simone who sent. Simone, she sent this photo. It's a hard cover copy
that's really nice.
of the new book, Confessions of an Illuminati Volume 7, a book which I advise everybody to purchase. And of course, we are heading for more news because this is what we do on a Saturday here. We kind of analyze the weekly news, and we have this cartoon, very controversial cartoon, but a very interesting cartoon that I would like to show you. We are, of course, going through a lot of this information as we speak, and this is probably a funny moment, but also a moment of reflection, because it's a cartoon about Bill Gates, a satiric, it's a satire of it.
Is that The Simpsons?
Check this out.
Hello, useless eaters. As your unqualified, non-elected global human health overlord, I'd like to take this opportunity to flaunt my position of power and influence over society and share some of my plans for you and your future. When I amassed my fortune in computer software, I demonstrated that I was willing to lie, steal code, cheat my partners, and exercise monopolistic control to destroy my competitors. Now that I've retired, I can rebrand myself as a humanitarian. With my for-profit foundation.
It's not bad, this. He was a crook before when he was into the software business, and he's even more of a crook now.
Foundation masquerading as a charity, I can advocate for population reduction and sponsor mass human experiments with unproven vaccines in vulnerable populations. Like my father, a powerful banker, eugenicist, and Rockefeller crony himself, it's always been my ambition to decide who lives and, more importantly, how many have to die.
It's very satirical, also very funny, no?
Whether it's under the guise of climate change or world health, it's really all about controlling and culling the human herd for fun and profit. In November of last year, I hosted Event 201, a war game simulation of a global pandemic. Leaders from private corporations, global banks, governments, and the media got together to strategize ways they could align in lockstep when responding to a worldwide health crisis.
We know what happened next, huh? And actually, guys, before going back to this hilarious cartoon, the news of the day includes the double pandemic now, because now the monkeypox is achieving almost a status of a pandemic, and so they are calling it the double pandemic. It's really sad that we have to go along with these farces, but now they are achieving even a more ridiculous perspective.
I said, let's hope that COVID doesn't mutate with monkeypox, and then we have.
Well, then they can all join one big club. But in the meantime, shocking, monkeypox grew up means we need to admit we now face two pandemics. So now we have to admit, shock the monkey. Somebody says, yeah, very much in line with another former resident of Palm Springs, Peter Gabriel, who also composed here some of his songs. Shocking monkeypox. So now they have to admit that they have two. So you see, it's mixed. You have the monkey, and you have the. How's that? Monkey, and then it goes into.
That sounds horrible, actually.
So kind of like what
that
a mix.
monkeypox is so gross.
It says here we blew our chance to quickly contain monkeypox. Now the dangerous virus is spreading all over the world. Ooh.
Ugh.
Huh? And mutate.
That's what I said.
Maybe you can mutate it, and they can make one big monkey business. This is some monkey business, guys. Definitely, this is some monkey business.
Yeah.
This is the Leo Zagami Show. 12 minutes past the hour. We're going through more news, but not without ending our cartoon.
Using a coordinated campaign of fear-mongering, intimidation, social shaming, and economic blackmail, we realized that we could get around dangerous philosophies like individual liberty and national sovereignty. With an obedient population, we would be free to implement our own top-down solutions, like forced quarantines, social distancing, contact tracing, and mandatory testing, as a means to seize technocratic control of society. Now imagine my excitement when we had the opportunity to declare our own global pandemic. It was my chance to look like the Nostradamus of public health.
Whee! He was happy then.
And to position myself and business partners like Dr. Fauci as the de facto authorities on response and solutions. Through exaggerated doomsday scenarios and computer simulations, our petty control freaks instituted harsh rules and draconian lockdowns.
Now, the solution to all this, it's of course defined in my book. The Great Reject. We need to reject all this. We need to reject all this so we can eventually create our own communities outside of the smart cities. This is a point that I stress very much here. People didn't really take me seriously. I hope that by viewing what the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is doing to his citizens by establishing a city like that, like Neom. Neom is like a, how you say, a print where it all starts from, a
blueprint.
Yeah, footprint, like a
footprint or blueprint.
Yeah, for then starting a process that will be imitated by every city worldwide. It's like they want to experiment it over there, and if it works down over there without any control here from the West, then they will be able to replicate it here in California, of course, and in the rest of the world. So it's about not complying. I always said that, and somebody's in the chat is repeating that, but definitely we shouldn't comply. But remember, guys, that at one point we will have to make a decision to not join the herd in establishing this kind of cities, in living in those kind of cities. I don't care about living in some kind of Blade
We'll
Runner.
be the Mad Max scenario.
But the Blade Runners of the world, they will be able to live in a different kind of scenario.
We'll have God.
Yes.
We can do anything with God.
Well, definitely.
He'll probably test us, so we're ready.
Definitely. And somebody is in the chat talking about being tested, by actions like relatives who decide to take the experiment or whatever and all the rest. We needed to expand their vision, yes, but unfortunately we don't have 500 billions to fight against this these people by establishing our own communities in the same way.
We shall inherit the earth. That's what God said.
Yes. So we just have to hope that enough people in the next few years, like-minded people, will decide to jump on board and create some alternatives. The alternatives, though, initially would be simply small communities that have an independence, that they don't need to be part of the smart world that is kind of extended its tentacles everywhere. The fact that they have destroyed over and over again with suspicious fires all over the place food processing plants is also part of the same scheme. It's all part of the same scheme, and it's a template. Yes, that is the correct word that I was searching for. Template. See, not a print, but a template.
Okay.
Which that then you use.
I'm not a thesaurus.
You're not what?
A thesaurus.
I
have one.
Yeah,
my mom gave me one.
That's cool then. You have one?
Here? I do. Oh, actually, I think it's in Italy. I need it.
We need to have it sent. Okay. We will, of course, prevail in the long run because we will remain humans. The other people who will join that kind of reality will become transhumans. That's what they're going to become. And so there's going to be then in 20, 30, 40 years from now, two types of humans, the transhumans and the humans. They will not be compatible with each other. They will not be able to even have contact with each other. So if some of your family members become transhumans, then they will make a choice that is inevitably clashing with your own, and you will no longer be able to have any contact with them. It's inevitable. This will happen in the long run. I'm not saying it's going to happen now, but it's definitely going to happen in the long run. Please share this show, put like, make sure also to subscribe to all our emergency channels in case the main channel gets blocked. We also broadcast from Facebook. We have also presence on Rumble and BitChute, though it's very difficult to establish yourself over there. This is number 16, I think, channels that we have been removed. 15 channels have been removed in the last since October 2020. That's when they started really with the purge of all our channels, both mine and Christie's. Even Christie was targeted.
Yeah.
Huh?
I have a channel now.
Yes.
But I put mobile videos on, like we do for fun.
Yeah,
it's just ZAGAMI. If anybody wants to subscribe,
it's a more relaxing kind of.
I don't post anything.
Yeah, otherwise you're gonna don't block. Then we had a square one.
They're fun videos.
I wanted to tell all those people who are following us that there is two ways of supporting us. Remember, we are no longer on PayPal as we have been banned 6 times and we decided to give up. We are, though, on Fundly and GoFundMe. If you want to use PayPal, you simply go on GoFundMe, and GoFundMe accepts PayPal. So, and then we have cashapp also. So these are all ways that people can contribute and support us, so we can make possible our weekly broadcast. And dedicating ourselves to our weekly broadcast is, of course, very important, as well as terminating my new book, which is coming together very well, which hopefully will be available by September, October, probably September, I think. Realistically speaking, I think by September we should be able to finally give you this new great accomplishment of Cursum Perficio, our modest publishing house that me and my wife have created, so we could independently produce these books. Books that, though, include also Christie's books. So for those who have read all my books and you want to maybe have a female take on things and a testimony that there is a different voice and eyes from my own, this is Christie Confessions of an Illuminati Princess, Volume 1 and 2.
I kept seeing my memories pop up on my newsfeed on Facebook of 3 years ago, and in 3 years ago we were in Las Vegas, and so I went back in my book and I started reading it again. We went through a lot.
Yeah,
and we survived it. It was crazy.
Oh,
it was a crazy adventure.
We have a lot of friends who are tuning in. Paula, hello. Hello, John Taylor. Hello, Corey. Hello, Lisa Devon. Hello, Mikos Mas. We have always a lot of friends who tune in. And like we shared today, this special on Neom, the future smart city, the satanic city that is kind of being established by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. It's something satanic, but Satanists at times can also find God. And this is an incredible testimony made by a former Satanist. I can't show you the whole thing, but I can definitely show you a small part of it to make you understand how conversion is very powerful.
I did this interview, and in this interview I said, I don't believe that Jesus Christ exists. And after the interview, this lady came to me, and she hugged me, and she held me in a way that I've never been loved. I saw this woman is a Christian. I've never experienced a Christian showing that much love and acceptance unconditionally. After that interview, I had a meeting with council members at the church, and they said, okay, great, now we've done all these interviews and people know, and it's growing, Satanism is growing, and believe me people, it is. And I had to do a ritual by myself to see, how do I get more power, more influence? And I did this ritual and I opened myself up, and Jesus appeared. And I was extremely cocky. And I said, if you are Jesus, you need to prove it. And he flooded me with the most beautiful love and energy. And I recognized it immediately because that woman at the radio station showed it to me. That's how I recognized the love of Christ immediately, because 4 people showed it to me. And I didn't understand it at the time. I couldn't understand it because, like I said, I didn't believe. Even when I was in Christian ministry almost 20 years ago, I never knew it until a month or 2 ago. The love of Christ is unconditional. When you experience it, it is something different. I have for a long time believed that I am not worthy of God's grace. Let me tell you something today. The kingdom of God is not a gated community. The kingdom of God is open to everybody. It's my prayer that you will feel the love. I pray that the peace of Christ will be with you.
And it was a very powerful testimony, a very touching one. I think that people need to remind themselves at times how Christ saves even, Jesus saves even people who are, of course, completely on the wrong path, like this gentleman here who was confused, was, of course, on the wrong path, but then was saved.
I saw that video before. It just came out, but I had read the comments on it. You know, I found that there were people that claimed to be Christian that were very critical of him, and I thought that was not very Christian, because God's love is unconditional, and I think a lot of people that claim to be Christian, they don't remember that. I mean, who are you to judge him?
Yes, there is a lot of
Righteous.
righteous.
I hope I'm not being like that right now.
No, but there is, unfortunately.
I don't want to ever come across that way. So if I ever do, just tell me to stop.
Yeah, in the Christian world, in the so-called Christian world, there's a lot of people who behave not so, in not such a Christian way. Like I said, I think that it is definitely a testimony worth viewing, and like Paul is reminding us here in the chat, self-righteous people are the worst. So definitely, it's like they seem to, you know, they put themselves on top of on a pedestal, and but Satan is all over the place. I mean, a friend of mine sent me this. He was going down to the seaside in Lecce, in Puglia, somewhere in south of Italy, and he saw this poster, "Failure over Satanic Dreams." What the heck is that?
What does that mean?
I don't know. I kind of sent him on an investigation. Hopefully he's going to understand what it's all about. I mean, sounds like there is something there to learn. My friend TelePandemia has made a video out of a dancing performance I did the last year.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes.
Did I film it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This one.
Oh, no, that's so good.
It is. But of course, we got to
see it. Oh, because you can't play that.
The music will probably get us in trouble. So
you have to put it in the description. Staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive.
I was having a moment that
you were really I think you were dancing to Daft Punk or something.
Guys, I'm sure that you understand that we don't have anything against the LGBTQ community. This was a kind of an homage. I was actually wearing what I was wearing here.
You were wearing your Stewart pants.
Stewart pants.
You know Stewart from Mad Max. He wears his pajamas. So then
not Mad Max, from Mad TV.
Mad TV.
Back in the 90s, I remember that they used to show it in
Norway.
When
he's got his long johns on from Norway, and then I call him Stewart. I see you're wearing your Stewart pants.
Yeah, those are the long johns originally purchased by me in the cold of Norway.
I don't know why you brought him here.
I don't know, because here it's not much use for it. Only in the winter we have a little bit of cooler weather.
It's nice.
It's nice though.
Right now it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I don't suggest anybody come to Palm Springs because
in the summer, guys, try to avoid Palm Springs. Really, I mean, it's not for the faint-hearted.
Right now, you can imagine New York and the humidity in the summer, and in New York it's about 80, 85. It gets up to 90. Here it's 120. We're not supposed to have humidity. And it's 60 degrees, 60% humidity.
Yeah, what is it with the humidity?
Where's the dry heat?
Now, officially, there's also, we notice another thing in Palm Springs. They always give a lower.
Yeah, they never tell you how hot it really is.
So if you go, for example, now, and you see it's 103.
Yeah, right.
Which is already hot. But
it's 110 on my balcony in the shade.
Okay, so this is completely fake news.
They lie about the weather.
Yeah, I think they do it for money, or maybe they have placed I don't know their temperature measurement in some cooler or somewhere in a fridge, because it's not really the temperature here in Palm Springs. So
he's got to stay in the house.
Yes, the summer is when and of course I am writing my next book based on music, on Hollywood, on the occult side of Hollywood, and it's coming very well together. It's based on a text, on a book that I published in Italy a few years ago, but of course it's been completely redone. And it's going to be the first book that I'm going to publish in both Italian and English at the same time. This is a kind of like, we are a small publishing reality, and it's really a lot of work to bring out 2 books in 2 different languages even if it's the same book, it becomes two books. There is completely different rules of citations in Italian than in English. You have to readdress the whole thing every time. There is different, slightly different things that are, of course, maybe acceptable in Italian, not acceptable in English, but it's coming together. And I'm sure that once this book comes out, you are not going to listen anymore to any kind of music in the same way, as well as also appreciating a movie, the magic of Hollywood, in the same way. And so just prepare yourself, because it's another treat after the great success that this book is having. We are really very much into the promotion of this book in the last few months, and it's a book that is getting a lot of praises from many people. People like Alex Jones have openly said it's a great book. They have read it. They have advised. He has advised his viewers and supporters to purchase it. The same was said by former Navy SEALs and CIA operative Michael Jaco. And then I just concluded an interview with Jay Campbell, which will be broadcast in August. We had a very good interview with Quite Frankly the other day. I'm going to be again on Quite Frankly in August to discuss further this book. And there is definitely a lot of people at the moment that are discussing the content of this book, because it's a very good book. Not because I wrote it, but if somebody else wrote it, I would purchase it. And I'm a guy who is an avid reader, and I read all kinds of books from a lot of authors. Regarding Volume 8, I'm not focusing only on the symbolism, because other people like Jay Dyer have done an excellent job, for example, on that. But I'm focusing very much on the real puppet masters behind the scenes who are pulling the strings of both the music and the cinematic business. And there is going to be some interviews in the book also with some protagonists from the Hollywood, the same milieu. So that is coming together, and I'm working on it. That's one of the reasons why, apart from the fact that, of course, we are extremely busy with that, is also the summer, and so that doesn't make it very easy for us to broadcast on the same kind of 3 or 4 times a week when it's so hot, and when we have to basically keep the temperatures low here, also because we use all these lights in the studio and so on. It's kind of like broadcasting a 2-hour show in these conditions is a kind of an expensive thing where you have to keep also the temperatures low. But let's move forward with more news, and in a few minutes I will also open the phone lines. Yeah. Do you know that Nancy Pelosi, she's quite known with her husband. They just went to visit the Pope, as you know, and we discussed it here on the show. She's a crook. She has been a crook all her life, especially when it comes down to insider trading. And I don't understand how it's possible, this. Nobody's saying anything about it. And the latest thing that she has done has probably generated a lot of income for her. Nancy Pelosi is a real criminal.
They never have enough money, do they?
They never have enough money. Nancy Pelosi urges support of 50 billion chips bill hours after disclosing 8 million NVIDIA stake. So she invests on something that she then, of course, is trying to promote.
I hope she knows that she might think she's winning and sneaky and all that, but God sees everything she does. So
it's shocking here. I mean,
God is watching everything that they're doing. They should be afraid.
Unfortunately, they're not. They are a bunch of criminals. There's nothing to say about that.
Want to get on the bad
now,
side
I
of
want
God.
to show you an article. An article, actually, there is an article, but then the main source is our friends at Wanted in Rome. which we know very well, also because
Maggie.
Wanted in Rome was basically found by a relative of mine. So it's like, you know, everybody talks about Wanted in Rome. The only thing I dislike about them is this: when in 2008, I was kind of like sent back to Italy because I was accused of espionage in Norway. I didn't have a penny in my pocket. I was literally surviving with $100 a week. I was really in a bad place. And I asked for work to my relative who founded the Wanted in Rome. They didn't give me the job. Whatever.
But then we met shortly after, and then you published your first book in Japan. So it wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be. But in any case, Wanted in Rome, that publishes, of course, articles regarding what's happening in Italy in the English language. They are the main publication. Has published this article regarding a U.S. tourist who fell into Italy's Mount Vesuvius volcano.
Oh my God.
I mean,
how did that happen?
They were doing a selfie.
Ah!
This is like the idiots. A 23-year-old, yes, a 23-year-old American tourist fell into the crater of Mount Vesuvius, which is a big crater.
Oh, no.
And the accident occurred on Saturday after the tourists saw it. Actually occurred today.
It just happened?
It just happened.
Wow, this is breaking news.
No, actually it happened last week. It says here 10th of July. So the American media, the American media has reported with 1 week delay. So I mean, it's of course, and it's one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world. If it ever erupted, it would be a complete catastrophe. I will not.
Pompeii, right?
Well, it's close to Pompeii.
That's the one in Naples, right?
Yes, that's the one in Naples, and it is definitely.
That's the volcano over my home.
But the man who here says, 24-year-old American tourist fell into the crater of Mount Vesuvius, the volcano looming over Naples. The incident occurred. So the tourist, after the tourist and 3 of his relatives decided to bypass the visitor entrance to the volcano and take a forbidden route to the summit. The man who fell several meters to the crater after losing his body was rescued by carabinieri and received treatment for his light injuries from emergency service. Now, this tourist and his family were then cited by police along with 2 other visitors for taking the prohibited route, so then they got kicked ass. But see, the American version of this whole thing, because then the new article explains that she fell into the volcano because she was taking a selfie. And here is the article in question. U.S. tourists sustained injuries after here. U.S. tourists sustained injuries after falling into Mount Vesuvius while taking selfie.
Okay.
So, according to Montero, and then they said 23-year-old man and his family, American tourists fell into the crater. So, guys, just forget taking selfies in dangerous location. I mean, this is really what this society is all about.
Well, that's one thing I haven't.
The millennials. No, because I was watching a movie, when it was, yesterday or the day before, just like some kind of B movie about the Grand Canyon, and there was an influencer in this movie, and she was just taking pics. It was an horror kind of movie. I don't know why I ended up seeing it, but at one point she was just taking pics left, right, and center, even in the most dangerous situations, until, of course, probably she lost her life. She didn't.
No, we turned it off.
Yeah, the movie was too much for us, and you just turned it off. Yes, that's remember, we're extending our show a little bit.
I know.
So in 5 minutes, let's say, we will be more or less taking callers. That would be the right time. Remember, guys, that now finally that experimental thing that some people took.
Okay, we want to see it.
Let me say vaccine. Let me say. But in any case, we have now the final evidence, guys, that it basically affects menstruation. That's how it is. So for those people who have accepted all the, you know, I mean, it is, and it's not a joke. What do you think about this? The affecting the menstruation.
How is it affecting it?
It's much more intense.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it's much more, and it's not like, you know, some kind of news given by the alternative news. It's news of the day.
It's probably one of the lighter side effects. From what I heard, there's a lot more.
Here, menstrual changes after COVID vaccine may be far more common than previously known. Guys, Tampax is making a lot of money.
Oh,
no?
Poor women. You shouldn't take this thing.
42% of people said they bleed more heavily than usual.
Oh no. That's terrible. Poor people, especially the ones that had to take it because they were nurses.
It's insane.
Anyway, I feel sorry for people, especially if they're suffering.
It's before there was no data link, the message changes there, but now there is, and
that's pretty scary, actually.
It's scary, and it's criminal what they have done to force.
So I mean, what really is in there that's making that happen? Hormones, probably. That's what changes your.
And by the way, it includes also that new. They said it was the Nova Baba was basically the one that would be a little bit more how you say biological, more organic in a way, no? But it includes it also. I mean, so no matter which one, well, sad to see that a lot of people have made that choice. And let's move forward. We are, of course, bringing you a rundown of the weekly news. Guys, the trans swimmer Leah Thomas nominated by Woke UPenn for NCAA Woman of the Year. Now, just, guys, how is this possible? How is this possible? This is an injustice towards real women. Why is what is this guy? Why is this guy?
So wrong.
Huh?
It's so wrong. I'm against this.
It's just insane, completely insane. Leah Thomas, whatever. Okay, we at this point we're gonna, of course, open the phone lines. You will be able to call in. You will be able also to discuss your opinion on Neom, the new smart city, and at the same time you will be able to, of course, tell us your own opinions on it, and what do you think will be your future in alternative to the future of the people who will go and live in these smart cities. Call +1 if you are calling from outside the United States, 970-577-6369. Here we are, and the phone is now gonna be open. The phone lines are gonna be open now, and you can call in, so you can finally talk with Leo and Christy. You happy, Christy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the phone lines are open, and I'm sure that soon we're gonna be flooded with phone calls as usual. And in the meantime, we're gonna carry on, of course, with more news. More news that, of course, we pick up from around the world. The war is still ongoing. The Russians are basically gaining momentum, and they are advancing. They are advancing. this is what is happening. The Ukrainians, of course, just demand money and weapons to carry on. Welcome to the Leo Zagami show. Who am I talking with? And where are you calling from?
Hello, Leo. This is Bill from Connecticut. We talked last week about the obelisk. Remember?
Okay. Thank you for calling again. Then, yes, we talked about, of course, last week. One of the subjects of the day was the deflagration that led to the destruction of the Georgia Guidestone. So, what do you think instead of the subject of today, the Neom, the new smart city built in the middle of the desert?
Well, you know, it occurs to me, if we consider Ephesians 6:12-13, that this falls right in line. That passage in the gospel, the battle's not against the flesh and blood, but against the principalities and powers of the darkness that rule this world, right? And wheretofore put on the full armor of God, so that in the midst of the battle we may stand, so in the end we may stand. This is that the transhumanism agenda, the mark of the beast, the smart cities, and it falls right in line with Revelations as well, don't you think?
Well, I mean, you just need to read my books, and you know that what I think. So, I mean, I already made my thoughts known in my books, and they, of course, align also with the Book of Revelation, because we can say without a shadow of doubt that this increased push towards transhumanism and it's of course also a push towards the mark of the beast, and from that moment onwards is like inevitable that we're gonna be basically seeing a humanity divided in two directions. One that is going to go and live in these big smart cities built on the template that is being led now by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. The other ones who will be making a different choice. Now, I'm sure that you are one of those people. What are you going to do once the cities will be no longer feasible and acceptable for people like us?
Well, me personally, let me say a couple things. One, I'm disabled, retired on SSDI, so I'm kind of dependent on the system. I got bankrupted fighting the system in court. That's a whole nother story. And then they foreclosed on a business that I was inheritor, my father's business, during the pandemic. I mean, this whole system has totally crushed me. So one reason I mention it is just when I was on Facebook, before I got booted for citing articles about the poison bioweapon. I was on a lot of different groups and posting, and I heard these stories from all over the world. People being crushed in the middle class, of course. So my position is, well, first I'd like to say, let people donate and buy your books, but if my brother wasn't helping me, I couldn't even pay the rent and eat. So I'm not in a position to do that. Otherwise, I'd be happy, you know what I mean, to support you that way. Sure. But so for me, I'm unfortunately dependent on the government through the SSDI and my brother's help. I need a couple surgeries, both hips replaced, a back surgery, but they won't operate me here in Connecticut unless I'm fully vaccinated. So, and I'm not physically able to get to another state, obviously being unvaccinated, and I can't drive being disabled and unable to do that. So I'm in kind of a situation where I'm just praying and dependent on the Lord and trusting that, day to day.
Have you not thought about maybe starting a crowdfunding of some kind that could maybe help you in going to be operated in another state?
Yeah, I've thought of that. It's just something I have to move on. First, let me say hi to Christy. How you doing, Christy?
Hi.
Hi. And it's great. Hey, Leo, I want to say that I first learned about you watching Maria Z. Yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing and what she's doing. I wanted to say that too. As far as crowdfunding to help me to move to get surgeries and stuff, I got to move in that direction. I fought the corrupt court systems, and that's a whole nother story for about 8 years, and I was still tied up with that on certain levels. So I've been a little preoccupied with that as a pro se litigant. And as you know, when you go up against the powers that be, which I have sued and litigated against, the system's rigged. You know what I mean? You can't get anywhere. I mean, I got arrested 4 times illegally. You couldn't believe it. They arrested me for anything you could think of: harassment, trespassing in the courthouse while I'm filing subpoena requests, harassment. I mean, it's totally rigged. You can't win. You can't beat it. You know what I mean? And I heard this, by the way, when I was on Facebook. I was involved with a lot of criminal justice reform groups and social justice reform groups. I heard this from people all over the United States and, of course, around the world, as people tried to fight their own lawsuits when they couldn't afford an attorney. You follow me? Yes. Sure. It's just impossible. And it's really sad because
having said all this, we know that there is a system that is rigged, and that's why changing also your location towards a community of more like-minded people is something that we always advise. And actually, it's also one of my of the things I advise in my book. We need to understand that in the next few years, this civilization as we know it is going to crumble down, and for that reason, we need to be close to like-minded people that together with us can maybe help building something new. Of course, the tendency is for all Americans, especially, to think for themselves, because that's how during the capitalism era they have been brought up, and it's a great thing to be successful in the capitalism, and it's of course not something that we are preaching to abandon capitalism. Unfortunately, the system is abandoning capitalism and embracing something of a monstruosity that, of course, will lead us towards socialism / communism. So that means that people like you will be left begging to the state. Now, I don't think that is the solution, though. I hope that maybe with the help of your family and friends, you will be able to start a crowdfunding of some kind. If you do it, please send me the details of it, and we will, of course, promote it also here for our audience, because it's important to help also people like you who are in need. So thank you so much for calling us today, and also telling us a bit more about your story, and we will also pray for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And we are moving on to another viewer. Welcome to the Leo Zagami show. Who are you and where are you calling from?
Hello, Leo. It's Eric calling from the Central Coast, right down the road from the Space Command Center in Vandenberg.
Oh, well, welcome then. So what's your take on the future, the rich and famous in their smart cities, the middle class being destroyed? We saw it also from the phone call we just had. It's becoming more and more evident, this divarium, which is typical of the third world countries that we didn't have once here in the United States of America. But what do you think of the images we showed of Neom and these smart cities that they're planning for the future of mankind?
Well, I don't know if you mentioned earlier in the show, because I kind of tuned in a little late, but Bill Gates also purchased 24,000 acres of land under the subsidiary Mount Lehman Holdings in Tempe, Arizona. And he plans to have his own smart city called Belmont. Are you familiar with that?
Well, yeah, heard about Bill Gates buying land and becoming the biggest landowner here in the United States of America. Nobody really knows what he wants to do with his land. And now we start to know it. I mean, he seems to be also wanting probably to prepare for a smart city implementation here in the United States of America. So at that point, what are you going to do, though?
Well, I personally won't live in a smart city. I don't know if you guys had a chance to vacation in Mount Shasta, California yet, but I'll tell you what, that's some beautiful country up there. If you can find a part of the world where they're going to let the nature be, then that's the place to be. Yeah, where you're at now in the desert, you're going to be surrounded by smart people and I shouldn't say smart people, smart city thinkers. I think that you're in that tech era that right there where you're located. So if you want to get out of that, you need to move out of the desert into the forest areas. That's just my suggestion.
Well, at the moment we can't afford moving anywhere, but
lots of people are like that.
Yeah,
can't afford to move.
Yes.
But God put us here, and so I trust in God, and I don't care what people say.
But having said that, smart cities will be built.
Have you taken Christy to Mount Shasta yet, Leo? I'm just curious.
No, not yet.
I want to go.
Definitely, we have to go. When the gasoline prices are...
I'm gonna help sponsor the gas money to get you there. I'm pledging
that's
right
gonna
now.
be a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
I'll send you a message on the Facebook Messenger, and if you guys plan the trip, don't do it now. It's too damn hot there. It'll be like being at home. It's 100 degrees there right now. But if you go there when it's around 80 or 90, I'll send you to all the best places to go, and you'll fall in love.
Well, it's a great thing. But you have to understand that cities like San Francisco, LA, the big cities are really, and San Diego already is on its way to becoming smart cities, and that's really where they are, first of all, planning the takeover. That's why they are also degrading these cities along the way. No, they are making them unbearable. People are complaining. There is all this criminality. There is all this and that. But that is because they want to eventually transform them in smart cities. It's like they are kind of constructing artificially this crisis, and they are forcing people out of these cities because they're gonna then replace them with a city that is, of course, driven by robots, by artificial intelligence, and all that. The desert is definitely a place that will have smart cities, but everywhere else there will be smart cities. I mean, there will be smart cities even in the state of Washington, which is not, there's no desert over there. But
is that where Mount Shasta is?
No, Mount
Well,
Shasta
got
is north.
I don't know. They've got 88 smart cities planned, and they plan to have them in operation by 2050. I did some research while you were doing your show.
Yes,
88.
Yeah, so
all over the world, by the way, not just the United States.
No. So as you can see, there is a lot of work that they are basically putting together to then create a city in which they will have rules that oblige people to get the vaccines, everything else. It's all part of the same plan, no? And it's also part of the plan to transform humanity into transhumanity, because the smart cities will be in line with the gradual transformation of not only our lifestyles, but our own beings with the Internet of Beings, because it's the Internet of Things, and then it clicks on to the next level, which is the Internet of, the Internet of Things, and then it clicks on to the Internet of Beings, which is basically based on a constant monitoring of our body 24 hours a day. It's like constant, and it's gonna be fed into a system into which, if they decide that you are sick, or that you have basically a sick thought, for example, no, you don't.
But they like sick thoughts.
No, but if you think, I'm talking about that kind of sick thoughts. I mean, if you
I want to go do something and say something that they don't agree with.
Yes, because I mean, when it comes down to perversions, I'm sure that the smart cities will have all kinds of perversion at disposal. But then we have also the people who will be trapped by virtual reality in their kind of virtual cage that is kind of getting constructed by the metaverse right now. So that is also, and there's going to be also an interaction between this smart city and the metaverse also, that we will be discovering more about in the next few years. Thank you so much for calling in, and we are moving on to another viewer.
On your phone.
Hello?
But it's not ringing on him.
Hello?
Let's not make it a 10.
Yeah, sorry, you will have to put down the volume of whatever you have on, otherwise we will not be able to have you on. So please call us again, but without a kind of, what was it?
I don't know. It was like almost the other phone call mixed with that phone call.
12 o'clock here in Palm Springs. The sun is shining, and it's definitely hotter than 103, like they're saying on the official.
It's really hot.
It's really hot. We welcome all your phone calls. You can call in. We are open today extraordinarily for an extra 15 minutes, as we started a little bit later. So we are, of course, waiting for more phone calls. And in the meantime, we are also going through the news of the day. The US approves a new arms deal with Taiwan that is, of course, infuriating China and bringing China ever so close to Russia. In fact, it's Russia today that is actually talking about all this. The fact that the State Department has cleared the way for a sale of 108 million worth of tanks for Taipei, that is kind of indicative. Welcome to the Leo Zagami show. Who am I talking with and where are you calling from? Hello?
Hey, Leo, sorry about that. That was me that called, and I didn't think it connected. My bad.
Okay.
Hi, Christy. Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
This is Gary from Gary, one of your regulars from Oklahoma.
Okay, Oklahoma. A lot of people are going in Oklahoma these days.
Our friends are in Oklahoma.
Yes, yes.
Well,
seems
well,
like
we're burning up. That's for sure.
it's kind of like becoming popular. So, any smart cities in Oklahoma that you think are going to be built soon, or what is your solution when the cities are going to eventually turn out to be all smart in the long run?
In Oklahoma, the city to keep an eye on is Edmond. Edmond, Oklahoma, is the city to keep your eye on here.
Okay.
But now this is in relation to what you were talking about, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. First of all, when I comment in your comment section, I'm blocked. I don't think you blocked me.
No.
I think it's something else. Yeah, it's something else.
Weird.
I can't comment in your comment section.
Oh.
What's
You
your
can see
name?
the comment, but no one
Jerry?
else is seeing it because the comments that I'm making are they're real. This is a real thing that happened.
But I saw.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Christy.
I think. Are you Jerry or?
What's your name?
Did you write
I'm
that?
Gary.
I saw your comment when you said, I don't think anybody sees my comment. I actually saw it.
Oh, well, thanks. Nobody said nothing to me in the comments room, and I don't feel that Christian love when that kind of stuff happens, y'all. I don't like that. But here's the thing.
Not good.
I contacted and met with a military intel officer here in Oklahoma. And I explained to him, I asked him to get on his computer and bring up the globe. I said, bring up the globe. What he did was he got on his computer, and what he brought up was the globe that has all military conflicts that are currently active on it. Okay, and I said, okay, now I said, grab the globe with the mouse. I said, and start turning it. And so he's turning the globe, and as he does, he gets over Turkey. I said, stop. And I noticed the Turkish embassy on the globe. There was no conflict there. I said, click on that. And he goes, there's no conflict there. And I said, not yet. He goes, well, that's an embassy. And I said, I know, click on it. And he goes, why? And I said, because there's going to be a double cross there, and it's going to lead to World War III. That's exactly what I said 3 months in advance of Khashoggi being killed there. So the surveillance that you see, all the surveillance video, all the audio, that just seems miraculous. You see it on the news. It was well covered from all kinds of different angles. But trust me, an intel officer was warned months in advance by me that there would be a double cross in that embassy specifically that will lead to World War III. And I'll leave you with that.
So thank you so much. You seem to think that Khashoggi's assassination, now we're talking about somebody who, of course, maybe some of our viewers don't know much about, was a journalist assassinated in Turkey, Jamal Khashoggi. He was, of course, of Saudi Arabian origins, though he was also an editorialist of the Washington Post, and he was a former director of Al Waitan and also Al Arab News. So he had very much an experience in matters concerning the Middle East, and he was killed inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in 2018. Having said that, the Turks are a bunch of crooks. So that's pretty much my own experience in life. I'm sorry to say that because my only son is half Turk, but that's how it is. And I think that we will probably never really know the full truth of what went on there. We know that the team of assassins that killed him was, of course, headed by somebody directed directly by the Crown Prince. Now, with Joe Biden's visit yesterday, we can say that Saudi Arabia has basically been rehabilitated. And that is also why Saudi Arabia has also in the last 24 hours backtracked on the initial words that regarded the not so successful visit of Joe Biden, saying instead that the visit was highly successful and that an increased energy production will happen as a consequence of the meeting that was held yesterday. So we have basically seen how what is known as realpolitik. You have what is realpolitik is basically when you have to put the interests of the state over any personal or other interest. There might be somebody who is killed, there might be an injustice, a violation of human rights. But realpolitik means that you have to then prioritize the, in this case, need of oil from the US in this particular moment, because, of course, of the incapacity of the Democrats, and that's how we should always call them, of providing us with an internal energy independence, which was left to them by the previous president, Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump, that of course is this week canceling his address that he had to, he had one of his events in Arizona. He canceled it because of the death of a former wife, Ivana, who is the mother of 3 of his children, and who was also a very important figure in creating the success of this guy that she nicknamed herself the Donald. The Donald.
Donald did her wrong.
Well, but then the Donald actually later on, when they partake and they divided, of course, there is all the economic problems that you have after a separation and a divorce, but then after that they became friends again. And
I remember in the 80s, they talked about Ivana a lot in New York, and I was watching, I think it was Oprah, she went on Oprah after they had broken up, or she was in this feud with Donald over the divorce, and he was with Marla Maples. And I remember she went on, she got this complete makeover, all this plastic surgery and a makeover and everything. And she said, "Beautiful hair is the best revenge."
And then I remember in the early 90s, even in England, I used to always have Ivana Trump coming on with some, it was like, she was almost a reality TV figure before reality TV, because reality TV didn't wasn't yet in existence, but it kind of came together thanks to figures like her. So we definitely give our condolences to the Trump family for their loss, of this very influential woman who was very much connected with Italy. 2 of her former husbands were Italian, and it's particular what happened with Rossano Rubicondi. Rossano Rubicondi was her last husband, who died actually last year.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
It was weird because a year after the death of Rossano Rubicondi, now we have the death of. There was some kind of connection there. She was very much saddened by the death of a guy who, of course, was also very much younger than her. They even participated to Dancing with the Stars there. I think in Italy there was a. This was, of course, the couple back in the days. If we have more clear image, maybe here. This is Rossano Rubicondi, who died also last year suddenly. Very strange, very strange, very strange. So rest in peace. And of course, we are about to head towards the end of this show. We are, of course, still reporting on the world news, and there is a lot of talk. I want to close the show today with a lot of talk about Italy's Prime Minister resigning, Mario Draghi. Mario Draghi, who is, of course, a prominent member of the Davos elite of the World Economic Forum. Mario Draghi, a very important member of the Bilderberg Club, of everything, basically. He is a former banker. He is somebody who was the governor for the European Central Bank, who hold it together, who makes some dramatic at times decisions for the euro that impoverished countries like Greece and ruined them. So, I mean, he's not really my favorite guy, but he is very close to the Illuminati. He's considered a Jesuit agent. He studied with the Jesuits. He is basically a Jesuit agent, nominated by the Pope before he took office as a prime minister, as a member of his pontifical academy. Now he finds himself facing this resignation. I personally, I mean, of course, there is a lot of debate about it. The Russians also have talked about it, with Medvedev saying, you know, we have Boris Johnson losing his seat. Now Mario Draghi. There is also Luigi Di Maio, who in a way is pointing a finger towards Russia over this government crisis. I personally don't think that is the reason, to tell you the truth. I think the reason is much more to do with Italy, to do with 2 years of pandemic that have showed the Italian people the criminal mind of these governments that have succeeded, because there was first, of course, a repeat of Conte, the prior, the now former Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte, from the Five-Star Movement, which is in complete disarray and chaos, and it's now creating even more chaos. That is the main reason. But of course, Russia has a link with the Five-Star Movement. I always addressed this. I always said there was a secret link also with the Academy of the Illuminati, with Russia. So there is definitely a link there. But the crisis here might also end up with a nothing burger, because the European Union basically has these billions to give to Italy, and the European Union is basically saying, well, if Mario Draghi is no longer into the office, we might not give you this money. Italy is too much an unstable country to give you all this money. So in the end, it might... Hey, Rambo, what's up? Huh? Ooh, fish. Rambet. Okay, so let's see what happens in a few days from now. If it ends up with a nothing burger, you're going to see once again Mario Draghi still there as Prime Minister. If not, we're going to see Italy plunged into more political chaos that in the end is going to simply function for a sort of political transformation that is sort of, because no matter who you put in charge in Italy, the system is rigged. It's not like America. There is a non-elected by the people president who then decides who to put into government. And often, you know, they have, like, Mario Draghi was never elected. He's been parachuted there, you know, catapulted from above. This is crazy. Italy is a country that's going to suffer like Germany, and Germany is now fearing what's about to happen, because remember, guys, in 1 week from now, we're going to know if Europe is going into recession on the 22nd of July, when they're going to formalize Russia, if they're going to interrupt permanently the Gazprom gas to Europe, or if they're going to start again sending gas into Europe. The possibility that the gas is interrupted forever, it's very high. And next week, when we see each other, in 1 week from now, we're going to probably be discussing what is being described the 22nd of July as the doomsday for the European Union. Make it or break it. And I'm sure that the Russians want to break it. So, okay. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in today from me and my wife, Christy. Christy, you enjoyed the show?
Yes. I missed everyone. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So we're going to see you each next week?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Please, guys, purchase our books and Volume 7. Volume 7. You need to get Volume 7. Okay.
Have a nice Saturday, everyone.
And please spread this video all over the internet. Let's make it viral. The Zagamis and the Leo Zagami show every week. And thank you again to all the people who made it possible with their donations. Bruce, Kodesh, Giuseppina, Pina, Ciro,
Mark Maxwell, Raymond Khan, Aloska Saraki, Leosvaldo Martinez, Pina, John Taylor. Thank you very much for your donation 4 weeks ago. We really appreciate it. And if we forgot anybody, we're really sorry. My phone broke, so you know I lost a lot of the.
Yeah, but then now you have a new phone.
What?
Now you have a new phone.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Still catching up on the
See you soon. Leozagami. And from Palm Springs, California, that's about it.